and the glory of God's high story.
Hello and welcome to another episode of God's Size Story. Today, my guest is Jen. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jen.
Hi, Craig. My name is Jen Davenport, and I am in my 4th year working at Village Church of Gurnee. I'm the Welcome and Worship Coordinator, and I really enjoy getting to meet new people and connect them here at Village. Jeff is my husband, and we have 3 kids. Blair, who is 17, Brady is 13, and Brooks just turned 8 this past weekend. Woo!
So I'm glad you're talking about your family there. I know family's really important to you. I actually first met you via your family when I was teaching preschool. Brooks was in my very first preschool class, and that's when I first got to know you and got to know that how important that family unit is to you. And we wanted to sit today and have a good conversation about the journey of your family. So I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Jeff and I went to high school together, and we ran in 2 different social circles, and we went to 2 separate universities. He went to Virginia Tech, and I went to Radford University, and we were about 10 minutes away from each other. And which was great.
Not a problem.
And a summer job kind of brought us together, and we both ended up working at the same medical office, putting up medical records, and
fun stuff.
Kind of dwindled down to just the 2 of us going to lunch during the week. And we started dating and were able to see each other through college, and we eventually got married 2 years later. And we've been married, this is in August, it'll be 20 years. Mm-hmm. So we've been together 22 years and married for 20. And we both wanted a family. We both wanted to start a family fairly soon. So within the first 2 years of being married, we got pregnant with our first child, Blair. And we were super excited to be parents. And she was born in December of 2002, and Jeff was quite excited. I remember him joking that we got that tax write-off at the end of December. She wasn't due until January, so that was a funny surprise for us in January when she came. And we wanted to have kids about 2 to 3 years apart, and so life was good. Life was good. Blair was such a sweet little thing, and she was just so physically tiny and just fun and loving. We loved being parents. We had all our family around us that lived close by to us. And in 2004, we got pregnant again. And so Blair was 3, and we were really looking forward to that. I was a cheerleading coach at the time, and so I wasn't teaching anymore, and so we were ready to bring a second baby into the family. And the pregnancy with Blair was super easy. No sickness, felt great the whole time, continued to work, and it was a real blessing to feel so good and be able to enjoy the process of, the whole being pregnant thing. It felt really, really good. And her delivery was easy. Everything was good. Now, fast forward to being pregnant with this child, we found out that it was a girl. And so we named her Erin Grace. And the pregnancy, just from the get-go, just seemed more difficult. Just did not feel as well. A lot of times we just kind of chalked it up to we're chasing around a toddler. So that kind of wears you out. Your body's changing, and we just kind of didn't give it much thought. We just thought that it was natural, just already being a mom and being with another little child. And as we got closer in the pregnancy, at about 35 weeks, I had a physical issue that I needed to go into the doctor. So since I was so far along, we went to the hospital, and I thought that maybe I was in early labor. And we went, and they cared for me. They checked on Aaron, and I was okay. The baby was okay, but they kept me overnight anyway, just to monitor since I was so far along. And they sent me home the next day. Okay. They sent me home. They said, you're fine. We need to give it a couple more weeks. There's no need to rush the process. And so I went home, continued to rest and take it easy. And this was probably second week of April. I remember that our church was having their 25th anniversary. And so they were having a big event at the church, and nice. I wasn't able to go. And I distinctly remember I stayed home and rested, and Jeff took all the food and so forth up to the church. And then on the night of April 17th, 37 weeks, I went into labor. And my water hadn't broken, but I was definitely having contractions and definitely knew that it was time to have the baby. My parents came over. It was about 2:00 in the morning. They lived just a little ways down the street from us. And they came over and stayed with Blair. And my father followed Jeff and I to the hospital. And we checked into labor and delivery, had our bags, and went in. And the nurses began their process of hooking us up to monitor the baby and so forth. And I remember the room was dark, and there was one light that was over the bed, and the nurse came in and brought the machine in, and she was trying to hook me up, and I was laying there and looking at her face, and I could see that there was, like, she was having trouble getting connections to fit, and she left and came back and brought another machine in. And then she left again. And by that time, I started getting a little worried. We were like, what's going on? And then the doctor came in, and he was looking and rubbing, the monitor over my stomach, and had said that Aaron did not have a heartbeat. And our world just kind of stopped right there for a while. I was 28, Jeff was 26 years old, and nobody really teaches you how to respond to something like that, because that's not what you plan to hear from your doctor when you clearly know that you're there for a reason to bring a baby into the world, and certainly not to have to start the process of bringing a baby into the world who's not living. So that began quite the journey from there. The events that kind of unfolded over the next 2 days were nothing short of God coming to earth in the form of about 5 to 10 different people at that hospital. I remember the names of the nurses. I remember nurses who had attended to me 2 weeks prior when I was in, who misread their schedules wrong and were there showed up to work on the night that all of this happened. Nothing short of just God and how he walked us through that process of bringing her into the world, not living, and having moments to hold her. 6 pounds, 11 ounces, 19 inches long, everything that you would do with a brand newborn baby that's crying and ready to go home. All of that kind of stopped, and just hard. We did get to baptize her. Our pastor came to the room after, a number of hours after she was born, and head full of dark hair, just like me when I was born, and or so I've heard and seen in pictures. He came, and probably the most beautiful thing was in this dark room. Our pastor was a big man. He was very tall and just a very stout man. And he came and he held her, and there was just this light that came over top of him, holding her, and it was just completely peaceful. You see things, you read about that, you see it on TV of, manufactured lighting and stuff, but in such a time like that, that is a vision that I have. I have pictures of just this large man holding this baby who was already with the Lord, but it was a peaceful reminder at the time, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and there were just so many things that happened in those particular days. The ways that people took care of my family and both of our families and friends. They moved us to a high risk room to keep us from being right there on the hall where tons of other babies are being born and crying, going down to the nursery, and they helped keep us separated. So that was hard. Lots of sound, lots of commotion from other rooms, and it wasn't like that. Our room was really, really quiet, aside from people sniffing and crying and just hurting for, Jeff and I. And we have pictures. We have albums full of pictures that these people changed our daughter. They put her in all of the outfits that we brought to the hospital that we were going to bring her home in. They made us keepsake books, and we have all of that stuff. And every year that we try to look at the pictures, and we remember, and it's very healing for us. It's very healing for us. And so in those days and months and years after that happened, there were just a lot of questions. Why? What have I done wrong? What did we do to deserve that? But at no point, this happened she passed away and was born on a Tuesday, and on Sunday I was in church. Where else do you go? Where else do you go? And people were so surprised by that. People were like, I can't believe you're here. I can't believe you're here. Where else would I go? Where else would I be? And I think that only the Lord can give you the strength to be able to even want to talk to people. Right. First off. And then be able to go and be in a place that God had taken her. And I'm returning to the place where God is, and it's almost like meeting an enemy, almost. And it was raw. That was the feelings those were raw feelings from, your life being completely changed over the last 7 days. And
but God wants that. Like, He wants those raw, like, you to bring that raw emotion to Him instead of bottling it up and keeping it inside. And you're exactly right. And fortunately, I had people in my corner who weren't saying, can't believe that God would do that to you. I can't believe that. I didn't have those people. I had the people that were like, tell him how you feel. He can take it. He can take it. He can take it. And in the months after, and the doctor visits after, there was some talk that I may not be able to physically have children again, because the process of delivering an unborn child can wreak havoc on your body, because your body works in conjunction with
in the process of childbirth, your body is working with a baby that is trying to come out, and when the baby is not alive, that process is very strenuous on the mother. So we were really battling with, do we even want to try again? Do we even want to attempt this process again? The fear. There was no time cutoff. Oh, if we can make it through the first trimester. Well, we made it through the first trimester with her. We made it to the end, and we still came home empty-handed. And so there was a tremendous amount of fear. But 9 months later, surprisingly, we got pregnant again with Brady. That 9 months was the most terrifying months. Every little thing that did, if my Mexican didn't settle well on my stomach, I was worried that something was wrong, and didn't know, was it my dinner or was something wrong with the baby? And fortunately, I had doctors that went over and beyond to care for me and to give me peace of mind and to check on the baby over and over and over. And he did not let me go past the time that we lost Aaron, and he was able to induce labor, and everything was just fine with Brady when he was born. And so it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And we loved getting to be mama and dad to two kids and to two kids here. We were just really blessed to be able to say that out of this process, we had these two wonderful children that were happy and that were healthy, and we could, every year it got easier and easier to be able to talk about her, to talk about the journey, to talk with other women who had experienced it and were too scared to talk about it openly and in public, and the opportunities that God gave both Jeff and I to heal through being able to talk about it was really a blessing to, hopefully, to others, and it certainly was to the two of us in our healing journey.
So what are a couple big lessons that you feel like you gained through that journey?
I learned through that journey the importance of community. People that just stopped their worlds, people who left what they did out of love and concern and just wanted to sit with you. People who literally came to our house and just sat there. No talking. No talking. What do I say? What do they say to me? Nothing. But the fact that another person who I just knew loved the Lord, trusted God, could sit there in silence and be okay with that was huge. The people that sent prayers, not cards, but just sent prayers saying long, deep, heartfelt prayers on my behalf, because I didn't know what to pray. Make me feel, dear God, make me feel better about this situation. Dear God, take all the pain away. Dear God, bring her back. That was all I could come up with. I didn't know the importance of prayer warriors that could form such deep prayers on my behalf, asking God to give me things that I didn't even know that I needed. And that was incredible. And the other thing that I know that I've learned is that I'm still learning, just in other situations with parenting, in a marriage, is that God is going to put the exact people that you need when you need them. Nurses that weren't even supposed to be on duty. Just the right, having the head of the grief counseling and infant loss program just happened to be leaving through the mother-baby unit where we were and hears about our situation. She's able to come in and spend countless hours with us and putting those people there. And God never said that he was going to make the journey easy. And he doesn't say, I'm going to take and then I'm going to leave you with that. He's going to put the people in place so that they can walk alongside you to help you get through to the other side. And then, of course, there's just the over and beyond blessing that came out of that 5 years later after Brady is born. Completely unexpected. Brooks comes in to the mix. And
good old Brooks.
Good old Brooks. And so not only does God take us through and gives us this healthy child in Blair, and then he takes, for reasons I'm not going to know on this side of heaven, and then he gives us Brady and then does it again. Does it again. And that's unbelievable to me. And it's amazing. And I can't imagine our family dynamic without any of those things happening. And to think that we're on the back end of a tragedy that completely turned our world upside down, took away our child, gave us a child. And all of that, in the middle of all of that, grows my faith. And I'm in a different place now than I was when I married Jeff. I'm in a different place now than when Blair came into our life. And because of this trauma, this tragedy, this loss, I can say that I'm closer to Christ now than I ever have been. And all these little people and their blessing, and just the blessing of our chaos, our crazy life that we have. I'm just now, Erin would be 15 in April 18th. And it's taken 15 years to be able to sit and talk about it and be able to not completely break down to the point that I can't even talk. So I do have tears in my eyes. I do have to kind of take a break and take a breath sometimes. But I'm far enough on the other side that that I feel like my focus is more on God's got it. Like, he's not a God of taking and sitting back. He's a God that takes and gives and replenishes and grows. And I would just say that it's been, I wouldn't trade any of that, any of the kids for any of it, but it's changed me. And maybe that was his goal. Maybe that was God's goal, was to change me in the process. But the journey has not been the smoothest, and that's okay. God never promised that.
That's true. Well, Jen, thank you so much for sharing that. It's such a powerful and strong journey to discuss, and I really love how the idea of family goes in throughout the whole thing, because family can be so much more than our family unit. Like, you talked about the bigger idea of family in there too, having those brothers and sisters in Christ, to even if all they did was come and sit, and the power that is to have that family in your life as well. Listeners, I really want to encourage you, find that family if you don't have it, and if you do, just find ways to appreciate them and to thank them and to love on them, because those are the people that are really going to impact your life. God uses those people so much to love on us, to care for us, and God uses you in their lives the same way. So once again, Jen, thank you for sharing this beautiful journey of your family. I know it's affected me in a very powerful way, and listeners, I hope you take it to heart too. Thank you. Goodbye.